So they killed El Mencho, and this is not the end of anything. So you need to keep talking about ICE and the Epstein files. So what happened this Sunday? Chaos, narco blockages, burned cars, roadblocks, misinformation, and a lot of AI-generated images spreading like wildfire. Some people claiming U.S. boots on the ground. So there's so much happening. Let's slow down. There is no verified evidence of U.S. boots on Mexican soil, but intelligence sharing, that is different. Mexico says they tracked his girlfriend. U.S. sources say they provided intel. Now, both things can be true. And here's where it gets interesting, though. In November 2025, President Claudia Sheinbaum publicly said it was not the time to repeat the kingpin strategy of Felipe Calderón, which was the 2007 decapitation approach that fragmented cartels and ignited a war that left over 200,000 dead. She said, we're not doing that again, yet here we are. So what changed? Was it U.S. pressure? Was it geopolitical negotiation? Was it Mexico denying the Board of Peace? Or simply leverage optics, timing, and distraction? Because what follows the Kingpin takedown isn't peace. It's complete instability, turf wars, internal fractures, civilian retaliation, temporary power vacuums. And markets? Markets hate instability. So the peso reacts to uncertainty, tourism reacts to headlines, foreign investment reacts to perceived risk. But the question is, who benefits from this destabilization? Who benefits from chaos? Who benefits from our attention being redirected? Because while we are focused on Mexico, ICE operations are escalating. Reports coming out of places like Dili are disturbing. And the Epstein files, the fact that we have pedophiles running different countries in this world, should not disappear from public conversation. Our eyes have to be everywhere. Yes, we pay attention to Mexico because some of us live there, because our families live there, because the repercussions are real. But we also ask why, and we follow the incentives, because chaos is never random and attention is currency.
Vente, ma. Corre, 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 corre. Qué desmadre. Todo el mundo corriendo. Aquí.
42 days ago, I told you the cartel crackdown had nothing to do with drugs. It's about clearing interference from the American supply chain. Mexico is the lower torso of the American industrial machine. Car parts cross the border 8 times before assembly. Tijuana builds your medical devices, and the US pipes 7.5 billion cubic feet of natural gas south every day just to keep the lights on in its own offshore factories. El Mencho's CJNG was running a 15% tax on everything moving through that corridor, and yesterday the US provided the intelligence to have him killed. Not because of fentanyl, but because you can't reindustrialize America with a cartel skimming off every shipment. 3 days after my last reel, the Pentagon stood up the Joint Interagency Task Force Counter Cartel, a single command center connecting the CIA, NSA, DEA, and military intelligence under one roof on the Mexican border. Trump didn't need to send troops. Mexico gets to keep its sovereignty, the US gets a secure supply chain, and neither side had to run their biggest trade relationship into a military standoff. In that same reel, I gave you one trade, Canadian Pacific Kansas City, the only single-line railway connecting Canada, the US, and Mexico. It's up over 18% since I posted, and the thesis hasn't changed. As the US locks down border transit corridors, trucking sits in inspection lines, while rail moves through government-secured checkpoints. CPKC isn't just a trade, it's the spine of the North American supply chain. Stay long.
I sat through the entire State of the Union, so you didn't have to. Let's fact check it.
I believe the tariffs paid for by foreign countries.
False. More than 90% of Donald Trump's tariffs were paid by American consumers and businesses in 2025, which amounted to approximately $1,000 per household being paid.
And in 1 year, we have lifted 2.4 million Americans, a record, off of food stamps.
False. They weren't lifted out of poverty. They were kicked off of their benefits when you took $187 billion worth of SNAP benefits from them in the big, beautiful bill.
The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens.
What I can say for sure is Donald Trump is not going to take no for an answer.
First truth spoken all night.
Washington, D.C., where we have almost no crime.
So false that I only need one D.C. criminal to prove my point. A 34-time convicted felon occupies the People's House after trying to overthrow the government. His own stacked Supreme Court ruled his tariffs are unconstitutional. He continues to carry out extrajudicial killings in the Caribbean and also accepts $500 million bribes from spy sheiks to sell out American tech. And oh, by the way, he was credibly accused of sexually assaulting a minor, a witness taken so seriously they were interviewed 4 times by the FBI, and whose accusations and testimony are currently being buried by his Department of Justice.
Trump has kicked a real hornet's nest, and those hornets will now fly. This assassination has definitively ruled out the prospect that Trump himself touted last night of a brief exchange of missiles and then a return of a weakened and chastened Iran to the negotiating table. So what we can now see is a sort of breaks-off injunction between Iran and what is a very large array of Shia militias that it's funded and armed. Israel's interests and Trump's interests are very different. We know the contours of Greater Israel, and it is to establish Israel with effective control of a much, much greater area than simply the borders of Israel-Palestine. Southern Lebanon, the Druze, southern Syria. Trump wants a quick victory. Trump is less keen on Greater Israel and all the headaches that brings. They don't have a credible opposition to put in place. They don't have a credible plan for dismantling the IRGC, which is an organization and a military as large as the US Marines. They are completely unprepared for a long war, even more unprepared than Bush was when he invaded Iraq. And look what happened there.
Iran possesses a very large number of ballistic missiles, particularly short-range ballistic missiles that threaten the United States and our bases in the region.
You mean these military bases? The ones that you built surrounding them? That's why they're being hostile towards you? Imagine actually trying to sell the idea that Iran's weapons capability poses a threat to American national security because they're capable of striking here from here. I don't like how aggressive you're being. It frightens me that your country is in range of my military bases that I built in range of your country specifically because I wanted military bases in range of your country. American audacity knows no bounds. I mean, the worst thing is they'll do this all over the world, look the whole world dead in the eyes and call it a peacekeeping operation. You know, rather than a global military occupation. We're the good guys. We're protecting everybody. What you're doing is a protection racket. You know that scene in the gangster movies where the mobsters come into like a local corner store and they're like, it's an awful nice store you got here. It'd be a shame if something were to happen to it. Then they like break a bunch of the bottles on the shelves with their baseball bats for dramatic effect. Then they're like, but if you were to like give us maybe 10% of your profits, we'd be happy to keep it safe for you. That's you. That's what this is. That's you keeping us all safe. This is why everyone trades in your currency, right? Which is why your economy has any value at all. Because the whole world is actively propping it up. Pretty much anytime anyone buys anything from anyone, you get a little taste. This is why your corporations get to wreak havoc on the world and siphon money out of global markets and into yours nearly tax-free. Because historically, when other countries try to push back, you get a bit of a itchy trigger finger. Looks like they might be in need of an urgent dose of a bit of freedom over there.
Hey, another day, another imperialist war that is here to free us all from dictators. And the hero, the police, the savior is America, together with the West and you know which country, Israel. Believing that the intervention from this side is liberating, it's not only delusional, it's just like ignoring historical facts. If you look at every intervention that these people did all over the global south, no better outcome was ever here. It was only worse. I don't want to share my opinion about the Iranian regime, because I have family in Iraq that might be affected by this whole situation. But I can tell you, nothing is going to be better with US intervention. It's not about the people, it's not about women's rights, it's only about resources and a power trip that is never ending by these white supremacist pigs. Look at Lumumba, look at Thomas Sankara, look at Kwame Nkrumah, look at Mossadegh and the Operation Ajax in Iran, and you will see most of the problems in the global south are here because of interventions from these forces. So every time when a leader come and say, I want to nationalize the resources, I want to put my people first, I want to put education, literacy and equality first, It's communism for these people, it's socialism for these people, and they kill them. I think we need to end the empire one day. The US empire is the only thing between the global south and liberation. And I'm gonna stand 10 toes down on that. I want to add that I grew up in a war zone, and my family did go through 3 generations of war. So I know exactly what war means. And the people that we always forget in these wars are the people on the ground, the civilians. So I want to dedicate today's Quran quote for these people. O our Lord, pour patience upon us and make firm our feet.
Where do you see this going? Is there an off-ramp for Iran?
I think what will happen is that even if the United States is able to kill illegally Iranian leaders, the next generation of Iranians, the Iranians that did not see American atrocities in Iran before 1979, some Iranians that did not understand why their parents and grandparents were anti-American, those Iranians will take over. Now they understand why American government is an imperialist, vicious government, and a government that attacks other countries and kills little children. They understand they're fighting the Epstein class that either rape little girls or bomb little girls. This is the government that we are witnessing. They're going to fight back against that government, and they're going to ensure that the Islamic Republic of Iran will live many years after America destroys itself.
I am thrilled that the United States is trying to police the proliferation of nuclear weapons. Imagine what the world would look like if it was otherwise. And I think that to say that the United States would still be the only country that has ever bombed another country with nuclear weapons. And let me ask you one question. Why did the Iran hostage crisis take place?
So certainly,
I'm asking you
fundamentalist radicals took over the government who hate the West.
Why did they take over the government? Why?
Because they're religious jihadis who want to eliminate Western society.
They hate our way of life. They hate our way of life.
Or they overthrew the Shah of Iran, who we imposed on Iran because the Dulles brothers, one at the CIA and one at the State Department, decided that the oil beneath the soil of Iran belonged to BP and belonged to us. And when Mossadegh, who was the leader of Iran, the democratically elected leader of Iran, said that we would like to audit BP because we want to know if you are cheating us or paying the people of Iran based on the oil under their soil. And they said, you may not audit us. And then we overthrew him, and he wound up dying in prison because we decided that we, in our arrogance as a country, got to own their oil. And wait a minute, no, one moment. And so the hatred of the United States had to do with the hatred of the Shah, who brutally repressed the people of Iran for 26 years until he was overthrown within Iran because he was not their natural king. They didn't want a king any more than we wanted a king. The bottom line is the arrogance of the United States' foreign policy. We act as if people act in a vacuum, and that nothing we do has ever led to the hatred of us in other countries. And I'm not saying that hostages should be taken, but you.
This is not a distraction from the Epstein files. This is the Epstein files. We are living everything that the Epstein files has uncovered. Israel was the parasite of the United States. It was siphoning money. It was siphoning intelligence. It was siphoning nuclear secrets. It was siphoning technology. It siphoned and sucked all of the politicians through blackmail, through greed, through coercion. And so the parasite that was Israel, that was siphoning the lifeblood of the United States, has now become the host and is now reigning supreme over the carcass of the United States. It has surpassed the United States. You even hear U.S. politicians say that themselves.
The wars of the future are being planned here in Israel. Israel is advancing down the road of new weaponry far beyond us, and it would be nice to have a process where we could be partners.
You see this in the slavish way that European leaders are bowing down to them. You see that in the U.S. ambassador saying that Israel has the right to take over all of the Middle East if it wants to.
Basically, the entire Middle East. It would be fine if they took it all.
Did you see he didn't say the U.S. has the right to do it, which you might assume a U.S. official would say. He said Israel has the right to do it. It is done. Israel's goal is not just to destroy Iran. I want you to pay attention. Israel's best case scenario is that both Iran and the U.S. completely deplete themselves to a devastating point so that Israel emerges supreme over the West. They want to reign supreme over the U.S. and will finally take over West Asia and North Africa just like it had been planning all along. The Greater Israel Project, the new Middle East. The parasite has now become the host. And may Israel and the U.S. and all of their slaves never see peace for all the injustice that they have wreaked onto this world. God help us all.
So we're at war with Iran right now, and it's pretty contained for the moment, emphasis on the moment, but that's probably going to change tonight as U.S. air assets get involved over the Iranian battle space. I just want to make a video for you to send to anyone you know who's a veteran or currently in the military who's really banging the war drums. The United States is the greatest threat to world peace, global stability, and is the most lawless nation on earth. I'm fourth generation Army. I grew up in the whole arsenal of democracy propaganda. I was in a special operations unit during Obama's Afghanistan surge while we were propping up pedophilic narco warlords in Kandahar and Helmand as part of a nation-building exercise. What that means is the government takes all your tax money and gives it to private contractors to prop up a government that nobody wants. If you are in the military right now, just know that you are not serving your country. You are not fighting for freedom or democracy. You are fighting for about 1,000 odd child trafficking, parasitically wealthy billionaires who do not believe in countries or nation states in the same way that you do. They believe they are above that peasant stuff. You think little Marco Rubio's in charge. You think dumbass Pete Hegseth is actually in charge of the Department of War. The person who's running the Department of War is the private equity billionaire deputy director Steve Feinberg, who has never served in the military, but who was the head of DynCorp International, a private military contractor until 2020. You are fighting to make rich men who view you with utter contempt even richer. It's 2026, y'all. It's time to grow up. Every imperial war we fight is a war on the global working class, of which you are a part. These billionaire MFers don't believe in international boundaries when having class consciousness, so why do you? What's happening right now will further immiserate your material conditions, and you have more in common with your average Iranian than you ever will with the pedos you're fighting for. Again, you are not fighting for America or a democracy. You're fighting for inhumanly rich child cannibals, essentially, who think you are cattle. So have fun with that. It's a difficult process to de-propagandize, but I have faith in you, and I believe you can do it.
I support Iran dropping every single rocket in their arsenal right in the middle of Israel, wiping that entire country off the map. That's what I support. I don't support Iran. I don't support Israel, but of the two, I would rather see Iran wipe out Israel and watch how fast the war ends. The sad part about it is these same veteran content creators have zero knowledge of what's even going on over there. None. They don't spend hours and hours a day researching outside of government propaganda to educate themselves so they can make informed decisions. For those of you with dual citizenship in this country with the United States and Israel, it's time to pack your bags, get the fuck out of our country, and go die for the country that you actually show allegiance to, because it's not the United States. Go back to your homelands with your Jewish chosen people, and go fight, because if you really believe you're God's chosen people, trust me, they're going to need your help. And God will protect you, right? So go back and fight for your country, God's chosen people.
This is, of course, an attempt to overthrow Iran, but it's part of a larger picture. The United States is fighting to this moment for global hegemony, have no doubt about it. This is part of a world war that the U.S. is waging. And the war comes in Venezuela. The war is going to come to Cuba, or is already in Cuba. Yesterday, the president said that the U.S. would make a friendly takeover of Cuba. The war is in the Middle East. Europe is already a vassal region of the United States. So this is the U.S. Attempting, even in what is actually a multipolar world, to maintain its global hegemony. Of course, when you operate with such extraordinary violence, recklessness, lies, and delusion, the results can be completely catastrophic. So my point is, this is not for any of the reasons alleged that there was some imminent threat from Iran. Exactly the opposite, as the Omani mediator said repeatedly, including after the launch of the war. The negotiations were proceeding, making progress and proceeding in an orderly way. I speak frequently with the Iranians. They were not only ready to negotiate, they already negotiated 10 years ago, all of these arrangements. So this is nothing about imminent threat, provocations, or nuclear weapons, actually. This is just about hegemony and regime change. Regional hegemony by Israel and global hegemony by the United States. And this has a very good chance of becoming a world war, in effect. God help us if it turns nuclear, because that's the end of the world. But a world war, by some accounts, it's already happening, because there are interconnected wars in all regions of the world right now where the United States is meddling. But again, the U.S. cannot run the world. It has neither the economic nor technological nor military dominance to do that, nor does the rest of the world want to be run by the United States. There's no way that the United States can impose a stable pro-U.S. regime in Iran. It's not possible. We're not in 1953 when the MI6 and CIA did that and imposed a police state in Iran. This will not happen. Iran internally, its own civil society, whether they back the current government or not, doesn't matter. This is a country of 100 million people, a 5,000-year history, and it's not going to be run by the United States or Israel with no boots on the ground, by a proxy from thousands of miles away. So the U.S. has stepped into shit today, if I could put it bluntly.
Donald Trump, whether he likes it or not, his term is coming to an end, and he's going to go to jail unless he does the quickest thing and drink poison. The world will never forgive Donald Trump for what he did by destabilizing the whole world and undermine the international law. His day is coming, and we must not be worried about a man who speaks about politics, yet he knows nothing about politics. How do you say, I don't follow international law, I follow my emotions, how I feel? What kind of politics are those? He's simply telling you his empty head. The only thing that makes people respect him is because he's white. But otherwise, ya Donald Trump, it's a stupid. When you see him, every time when he appears on TV, you must say, Nangu Satan, so that all our children know that Donald Trump is a devil that wants to destabilize the world peace, and we are for peace, we are for unity, we are for the freedom of all people of the world. We don't fight white people, we fight white supremacy. And the illiterates will not know the difference. It's up